let us talk about pteridophytes now. How this name has been derived? It is derived from a pteridophyte itself. There is a famous pteridophyte known as Pteris, and because Pteris is able to represent all the characteristic features of this particular classification of plant kingdom, we refer to these kind of plants as pteridophytes, or the exact classification classifies it as Pteridophyta. Bryophyta and Pteridophyta show typical alternation of generation. They have the characteristic features which are able to represent the phenomena of alternation and alternation of generation. That is why these are important a little bit, because they are different from other plants as in the terms of their alternation mechanism. We are going to see the alternation of generation as well, but for now what we have to understand is that what is their economic importance if they are having any, what is their geographical distribution. So, as I told you in the introduction itself, these plants, they are restricted in a geographical region that should be shady and wet, and because of this reason their geographical distribution has been restricted to certain areas, and there are many less species as compared to other classifications. That means the entire classification of pteridophytes, this particular division of plant kingdom, it does not have those much diverse species as the others are having because of their restricted geographical distribution. And what is the reason why they are restricted? Because they have not evolved a proper mechanism for survival in the larger context, that is in the greater geographical diversity. Now, what is the reason that restricts them to a geographical region? That is that they need shady area, and the best example that you would find is they are used as ornamentals in the gardens, and the common name for these is ferns. Now, what is important to learn in pteridophytes is that it is divided into further 4 classes. What are those classes? You need to remember those names. One is Psilopsida. Again, I am repeating the things which I introduced you to in the plant kingdom introduction: Lycopsida, Sphenopsida and Psilopsida. We are going to see the examples of each with pictures, but for now you have to remember these 4 names, that is Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Sphenopsida and it's not Psilopsida again, it would be Pteropsida. Alright, and Pteris, as you can see, this Pteris would be belonging to Pteropsida, and Pteris is the common fern that we have in our gardens, and the entire division is named as Pteridophyta just for the reason because Pteris in a whole has all the characteristics that a pteridophyte has. Now, what we have to see over here, that yes, do they show alternation of generations? Now, earlier we saw this alternation of generation in bryophytes, and by that I meant that half of the plant life cycle would be in haploid form and the rest would be in diploid form. Keeping in mind, we had the bryophytes as haploid plants. That means the dominant plant body was a haploid. Over here, the dominant plant body would be a diploid. That means the main plant body is a sporophyte. I need not to repeat what it means. Sporophyte is that part of plant body which bears the spores, while the haploid plant body is known as gametophyte because the gametes are born on this gametophyte particularly. So, this is what we have. Over here, the dominant life form would be a sporophyte. It would alternate with a free living gametophyte. So, the gametophyte is free living, but it is not the main plant body. On the contrary, in the bryophytes, we had a gametophyte that formed the main plant body and a sporophyte which was dependent upon the gametophyte for its nutritional requirements. So, what we are going to see over here, that the gametophyte that is haploid, which is going to give rise to the gametes. That means this gametophyte would have the sex organs. Now, what are the sex organs? If it is a male sex organ, we call it antheridium. And if it is female, we call it archegonium. Antheridium gives rise to male gamete, while the archegonium gives rise to the female gamete, and we have both male and female gametes which are haploid by default on the gametophyte. So our gametophyte is free living, that means it will take its nutrition on its own. So it is something like this, some arrangement like this. There are rhizoids present on it, and on the ventral surface we have both this antheridium and archegonium on the ventral surface. Now, one thing you have to remember, that this gametophyte is a thalloid structure. Only difference is that it is thallus-like structure. Only difference that lies is that there are rhizoids which are present. Now, what are rhizoids? I told you in the beginning that rhizo word is for roots. So, rhizoids are primitive roots which are present in the gametophyte, which is free living and it is joined to the soil. On the ventral surface of this particular gametophyte, there lies the antheridium and archegonium which give rise to the male and female gametes. Apart from this, there is thalloid organization, and this gametophyte is known as prothallus. Alright, this prothallus grows, it is free living, it is independent of the sporophyte, it gives rise to the male and female gametes which need shade and water, they unite and they give rise to the sporophyte, which is a diploid plant body. Now, this sporophyte is well divided, it is well differentiated, not divided, differentiated would be a better word, it is well differentiated into roots, underground stem. Now, over here you will see that some things which are like the plants that we know are emerging. Okay, underground stem like rhizome would be present, roots would be present, there would be leaves and compound leaves rather, and over here you are going to see ground stem, roots, leaves, and on the leaves you are going to find sporangia. And one thing that you will find is vascular bundles are going to show in this level of classification. So, we are gradually moving towards advanced stage of plants, and what we see over here that there is alternation of generation. The main plant body is a sporophyte, it gives rise to a gametophyte. How it gives rise to a gametophyte? Now, we have to see that how this gametophyte is formed. We know what characteristic features are present in the sporophyte. It is having roots, it is having underground stem, the leaves are compound which have sporangia. Now, we have to concentrate on what this sporangia is, and there are vascular bundles, of course. So, we are moving towards advanced plants slowly and steadily in our classification, and what we are going to see over in the sporophyte is that there are compound leaves, and in those compound leaves you must have seen in the drawings being made like this. This shows a typical fern compound leaf. I might not be able to represent it in a better way, but what you have to understand is what a typical fern leaf look like and leaves look like. Same way you are going to have compound leaflets over here, and on few leaves what do we have on the ventral surface? Now, supposedly I am taking this individual leaf, I hold the leaf like this. This is the upper surface, this is the lower surface. The lower surface, supposedly this part of the leaf is showing the lower surface as we have to see. This is the leaflet basically which we are considering. On the lower surface there are small sorus which are present. The leaves which bear the sori are known as sporophylls. You have to remember these names. Sporophylls are the phyll represents the leaves. Sporo, it would be those leaves which are going to have sporangia, and inside the sporangia there would be spores. I am going to repeat it all over again so that there is no misunderstanding in these terms. See, sporophyte is that part of plant body which gives rise to the spores. Now we are going to see the spores over here, which would be haploid spores. You have to remember that a sporophyte is going to give rise to haploid spores. That means somewhere or else meiosis has to take place. Now where that meiosis takes place? That meiosis takes place in sporangium. Sporangium if it is singular and sporangia if it is plural. So the sporangium is going to give rise to the spores which are haploid. Inside the sporangium the meiosis would take place and the sporophyte bears those sporangium. Now where those sporangium lie, where the meiosis takes place, it is present in sori. Now what is sori? Sori is plural for sorus. Now, sorus are dot-like structures. Supposedly, you are having a leaf, a fern leaf, and you see the lower surface, you would find dot-like structures present on them, and individual would be sorus and plural would be sori. Inside each sori, you are going to find the sporangium. Inside each sporangium, you are going to find these haploid spores, and the leaf which bears these sori would be known as sporophylls. I am repeating it, and this would be the ending note of this lesson, that what is a sporophyll? It is that part of the sporophyte, that is the plant which is visible to you in your garden or in the flowering pot where you see the ferns. The visible plant is the sporophyte. It is going to give rise to the haploid spores. Where it is going to give rise? It would give rise on the sporophylls. Now what are sporophylls? They are the leaves which bear sori. Inside the sori there are sporangium. Sporangium refers to that region where the spores are formed, and inside the sporangium meiosis takes place and you are going to find the haploid spores. These haploid spores, they are going to fall down. When they fall down, they are going to grow into the gametophyte. Now this gametophyte is free living. As a result, as a consequence of its free living nature, we have a prothallus like structure, a thalloid structure which has its own roots, and on its ventral surface we have both sex organs, that is male and female sex organs present. These male and female sex organs, they give rise to the male and female gametes. There is a process of fertilization that takes place, and when fertilization takes place, it gives rise to sporophyte again. So this is what is alternation of generation with respect to the pteridophytes, and it is different from the bryophytes in a way that the gametophyte is not the dominant plant body. Instead, over here we are going to see the sporophyte and the classifications that follow in the plant kingdom. That is, after this comes gymnosperm and the angiosperms. In those cases, we always see that the gametophyte is slowly and steadily getting reduced to a cellular level. That means it would not be more than 2 or 3 cells, and the sporophyte, the dominant plant body, is the sporophyte itself, while the gametophyte gets highly